Just know
yesterday.
Yeah, it's old.
3-day-old pizza's fine.
That's what I thought.
I think the expiration on pizza is 5 days.
5 days.
I think 5 days is the expiration on pizza. I would eat pizza that's 5 days old. Wait, does that seem too long? No, I mean, if it's...
I'm trying to think of, like, longest I've left.
I'd say 2 days counter.
Yeah, 3 days.
5 days refrigerator.
Sure. Sure.
But if it's just sitting on the counter, I'd give it 2 days.
What about just crust? Would you just eat the crust after 5 days?
I think it's the same expiration.
5 days counter, if the crust wasn't hard and fruit flat, I think I'd still eat it.
Yeah.
If I needed it.
Yeah, there you go.
Prime life.
So, okay, Trevor, I'm looking... you got this new bike here. I'm looking at this new bike you got over here. It looks like a GT and a homeless soul bro mixed all together. What's going on with that bike? Because I know you've always had like pretty wild setups.
Yeah, I had this made by Matthew down in San Diego. It's called the Living Metal Frame. I pretty much just designed it the way I wanted it. It's a 21-inch top tube. I think it's about a 14 1/4 rear end. Yeah, the GT bend down tube. I mean, I rode for GT for like 10 years, so I had to go with the GT bend down tube.
And that gives you a little bit of scuffing room, right?
Oh, yeah, a ton of scuffing space there. Yeah, the platform. I love the platform. That's just, I'm old school Flatlander. Got to have a platform on a bike.
I mean, you've always kind of had, like, compared to Flatland, you've always had pretty strange. I mean, your bike sounds great to me. That sounds like the setup I ride right now, but I ride transition, so it feels like you kind of had strange setups compared to the rest of Flatland. When you were younger, did you ride bigger bikes, or did just somewhere along the line you just decided to switch over to it?
Well, when I was younger, I started off on a GT Performer. That's my first freestyle bike.
What year was it?
That was like 87.
Okay.
But, I was shorter then. I was a young kid. And then as time, went by, I grew.
Yeah.
Now I'm like 7 foot, So that's why I ride these longer frames. That kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
When you're as tall as I am.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I was always convinced, and I know we talked about it just a little bit ago, but I was convinced it's because you rode for Wilkerson Airlines, and that was just had a monster back end on it. And, just seeing somebody ride, like a Wilkerson Airlines ride Flatland on it, since it was such like a vert bike at the time, I was like, no, that's why that bike just messed him up. It fucked him up to where he just had to ride bigger bikes after that.
Dude, last year this time, he was riding a Harrington Premium 21.5 top tube Haro. Like
21 1/4.
Was it 21 1/4?
21 1/4?
Yeah.
But he would do 3
long
hops
frame.
on it. Like, it was fantastic.
That's crazy.
It's all the way you get used to it. You adapt to anything, I mean, I would rather have a longer frame than a shorter frame, because then you're all crammed up on a short bike, and that just don't work for me.
And you're more into the mellow angles for balance points than the steep ones, right?
That's exactly right. The old school angles, long frames, mellow 74 or 74.5 head tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. So.
Is that kind of... So, GT built you a bunch of custom bikes, right?
Yes. I started off with the Dyno Slammers. I had a Power Light. Yeah, the GT shows. Those were all custom made.
The curved top tube shows?
Yeah, the aluminum ones.
Yeah. That's crazy. They made those that big.
I know.
Do you know where your old handlebars are? The big Power Light extra that are probably... I bet your bars are bigger.
Yeah, how big were those Power Light bars, probably?
They were like, what were they, 9.5. Probably about what I'm riding right now, 9.5.
That you'll see 14-year-olds on those bars that big, and back in the day, people would see your bars and be like, that's so fucked up, his bars are so big, what's wrong with it?
Hey, it gives you more control.
No.
You do a hang 5, it feels right, especially when you got long arms, you need that, that extra.
And then people kind of freaked out when you had that 21-inch sick child that Ed made you, which seems kind of crazy because the way those frames are built, it looked even longer than normal, I think.
I mean, like I said, I'm a tall guy, so that works for me.
Yeah.
That sick child was actually a 20.75 top tube on that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
That thing looked long. I remember.
But the rear end was, like 14.5.
Perfect.
Like
Perfect.
I love those frames.
So you said GT Performer in 87 was your first bike? Is that when you started riding? It's about 87?
I started a little earlier than that, but that was just like on T. Murray.
Yeah, I know how. I think
About at
everybody did that.
Target.
Yeah.
Yellow
And I started like putting bags on it and pegs on it, building it up as a freestyle bike, but not, that was just
And then,
playing around.
did you get it for like a
nothing
birthday or
serious.
something?
I just went out to Target and bought it. And
No, I'm talking about the performer.
the performer was, well, what happened with that was I went to the Haro Trick Team show, seen that.
Yeah,
Seen,
who's riding?
Ron Wilkerson, Brian Bleidler, Dave Nuri.
Dave. I love
cool.
Dave.
Yeah, that was pretty much what set me off on riding, freestyle. Was after seeing that show, I was like, okay, I got to get a bike, a real bike here.
It sounds like the Haro show didn't work too well if you went out and bought a GT.
I like the GT better, so something about that GT bend down tube.
What did you? Here's the thing: if it's 87, because 87's like my favorite year of like GTs, like graphics wise.
Yeah.
What color did you get?
You won't believe it, pink.
No, that was the bubblegum pink. That was the best.
Pink with the white mag.
No, that's a good one. Do you see the pink performer I had in the back? It's an 88.
Yeah,
but,
I did see that.
Yeah, I'd rather have an
That's
87, but I can't bitch.
I
But
love it.
yeah,
Good
so
bike. Classic.
you saw the show, and were there other
Yeah.
riders in your town, or did you kind of just ride solo for a long time?
In my town, I grew up in a small town, not many rides, just local neighborhood.
Where'd you grow
guys. A little town called Chaska, Minnesota.
Okay.
But at the time I started, there was this, it's called Midwest Freestyle Series.
Yep.
And I went to all these contests, like local contests in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Like everyone, like all the local guys all went to
And
it. And it was huge.
that
back in the
scene
day.
was gnarly back then.
Yeah,
it was a
we
gnarly
got-
scene.
A
Yeah.
lot of Dennis McCoy, Rick Malaterno would show up.
Yeah.
A lot, all.
I mean,
All over the
wouldn't
Midwest.
like all some of the Baco dudes be there early in the days? Like,
Yeah. There was like hundreds of riders showing up at those contests.
Yeah.
So it was a big scene, and I went to like all of those for years. Every month we went to one, and had a great time. Met tons of riders, had fun. So that's
did you start off
got me
riding
going.
ramps and stuff too, or did you just stick to Flatland?
Yeah, I started riding a little bit of ramps, nothing serious. Just I built a quarter pipe in the backyard, a little box jump, just playing around.
Yeah.
But having fun, but that stuff just wasn't for me. Liked Flatland better, so
When did you
Went with that.
Did you end up starting to do good in the contest? When did you start realizing that, like, maybe when you get in BMX where you're like, no, this is for me. This is clicking. I think I'm actually good at this. When did you kind of start figuring out you're like, oh, where you're
Yeah.
getting good,
those Midwest Freestyle Series is when I started placing higher at those.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is cool. I won this one, won that one, and just
Were like an expert?
yeah, expert, yeah. And then after those contests, I started going to the Rampage contest that
Oh,
Rick
yeah,
was putting on,
yeah.
and doing pretty well at those. And that's when I got hooked up with Standard, and got a frame, parts, whatever I needed.
And did you ride for Wilkerson before Standard?
It was Standard first, and then Wilkerson.
Oh, really? I thought it was the other way around.
So
Rick has an eye. He's still to this day. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
Rick
yeah.
back in the day when that Standard team first came out, it was...
dude, don't even these days. It is insane. Everyone sort of midway lets Rick do his thing, but obviously whatever happens. But
Yeah.
yeah.
he knows what he's looking for.
Yeah, no, and
It's crazy.
So you
Oh, yeah.
you rode for Standard for a while, and what was that, probably around 90, 91 or something?
Yeah, something like that. So
So
around 90.
And you rode for them for a few years, and then
Yeah,
Would
yeah. Those bikes at the time were the bomb,
Oh, yeah, no.
What color was your
You can't
first
beat
Standard?
it. I just had the raw
raw?
lengthy,
That's awesome.
but then I ended up painting it like turquoise color. Yeah. And then
Those are really
then
standards.
shortly after that, I ended up meeting up, getting a phone call from Wilkerson. It was like, "Hey, you want to go on tour?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, why not? This would be fun. My first tour
That
ever."
would be. I feel like that'd be really weird switching from a Standard shorty to
Or the
a
length-
it was a
lengthy.
lengthy, but to a Wilkerson ride at the time. Like it seemed like
Wasn't too bad. I
Yeah.
adapted pretty quickly.
And was
They're
that
both heavy bikes at the time, so
was that the two hip homeless tour that you went on?
Yeah, Wilkerson. Yeah, homeless tour. Yeah.
That seemed like
It's
a kind of wild.
91 maybe. I don't know.
I think that's when they were filming for Wilkerson Airlines Life on the Edge, and you got a bunch of clips in that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That was Jason Davies, Ruben Castillo, Wilkerson, myself.
Yeah.
Just jumped in the van and traveled all over, pretty much over the East Coast, mostly in New York City, and just
like
all
Washington,
over the East
D.C.,
Coast. Yeah,
New York City.
Did you recognize at the time?
That was my first time out, like ever. Like,
was it wild to see Wilkerson at the Horror Show and then be asked to tour with him?
Oh,
So
yeah.
short later.
That was like a
such
dream come
incredible-
true for me. I was just a young kid. It's like, wow, this is awesome to be able to go on the road with these guys and
and I guess
do shows.
And Ruben was still, like he was just coming off being on GT, so he was still a pretty big deal Flatland rider at the time.
Oh, for sure.
Because he'd been pro Flatlander for a few years now. I mean,
and
you didn't know any of them really before the tour.
Nah, just see them at from watching contests and in the magazines. That's about it, really.
Yeah. Do you have any good stories from the trip? Like anything sketchy happen? Not like when you go on trips. I just feel like New York back in the early '90s, maybe you went to frickin' Molali or something. It just seemed like it was like a wilder scene back then.
That's right. We did go to that contest.
Yeah.
Back in, and I do remember Ron was putting on a contest. And I was, practicing, getting ready for it. In practice, I ended up doing a parry doom.
Yeah.
You jump to the
pegs,
grips,
the bars.
Yeah, and I missed, and I hit my elbow on the end of the bar end, and totally ripped my arm. Like blood was shooting out everywhere. Like it was bad. I was like, I had to go to the hospital. I was like, oh, I'm going to lose all my blood here. I got to go. So yeah, I went to the hospital. They sewed it all up and got me, back to normal. But I missed the contest. I spent the whole day at the hospital.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, got back there just at the end, when it was over. But hey, things happen. That's life on the road for you.
Yeah, Perry's Doom. That always seemed like a wild trick. So.
Oh yeah, that's nuts.
So, and then after, how long did you ride for Wilkerson for?
Boy, I'd say a year or two. Something like that.
And then, where'd you go after that? Did you go back to standard, or did you?
After that, well, in '94 I got on GT.
Oh, is that in '94?
Yeah,
so
94,
that sounds about the right time frame.
Yeah.
And was that Woody that approached you? Was Woody the TM then?
Yeah, well, I went out to Moreno Valley, California, entered the Huffman.
I was at that contest.
Oh, were you?
I was at that contest.
All right, nice.
I was at that one.
nice.
That's the one, remember? Nori entered
right.
pro. He hadn't entered a contest for a while. Do you remember Nori entered that contest?
Nice. That's killer. But yeah, that's, I won that contest.
Yep.
So afterwards, Woody was there and was just stoked on it, and he came up to me and was like, "Hey, would you like to ride for GT?" And we worked
That was
out
a big deal back then too.
That. Oh, for sure, yeah. Because that, it was more than just giving me a bike. Like the standard was just some parts. Here he was saying, "We'll fly you to all the contests. We'll pay you. We'll really hook you up with a real sponsor." So I went with it.
Yeah.
Couldn't pass up that deal.
How old were you at that time?
Oh boy, I'd say about 28. I don't know.
28?
Somewhere in there, huh? I don't know.
Seem right? I don't know.
Yeah, you got me.
You
I've
got
been driving all
you got
day.
me. I don't even know either.
Was that post Prince's house or pre Prince's house?
Yeah. What's up?
That was before I was. Yeah. Well, I was a painter.
Yeah.
Before I was gonna do all this bike stuff. So we ended up painting Prince's house. Believe it or not, he's from Minnesota.
Yeah. Did he live close up to you?
Yeah, the next town over, Chanhassen, Minnesota.
Was his house little because he's so short?
No, actually, his house was just an average house.
Really?
At the time that I painted, and he wanted a purple with black trim. So we went in there. He wasn't there when we did it, but his dad came out and talked to a real cool guy. Showed us guitars and outfits, and got to talk to him. But yeah, we painted the house, and yeah, everything highlight of my painting career.
Was everything like purple velvet inside and stuff?
Right, you think some sort
pretty
of
much.
Really? Wow.
I don't. That was years ago. I looked at the guitars and stuff, but yeah, we just went in there, painted the house, and we're out of there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you when you were riding for GT? were you still living in Minnesota then, or had you moved
Yeah.
out west? Or?
I was living in Arizona.
Okay.
I moved to Arizona during the wintertime so I could ride my bike.
And
all
was that
winter.
when you filmed with Els?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I've never met Els, but I feel like Els
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
is
Well, his art, you feel like it projects the artist, right? A little bit.
Els just. I loved Els videos when I was younger.
me
Like
too.
they were just so out there. Like release the grease. My favorite's Ring the Gack. I loved Ring the Gack.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little about Els? Because I know some of people listening probably don't know Els, but he made some of the. I mean, at the time, some of the most. His videos push things
They
like
were crazy.
especially street riding in Flatland. And
he was,
but he was a very eccentric guy, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's just totally original. I mean, yeah, Els was awesome. I mean, I loved the way he did the angles of the the camera, just the way he put everything together. Just he made it exciting to watch. Everybody's part was like really original and different. Just it was just so different than the other videos.
And was that when you were filming was that when you were living out there you filmed like for Jinx Velvet Taxi and stuff?
Yeah, that's right.
I think Chris over there. Chris, what's the trick you wanted to ask about?
About the progression of tricks and how people kind of there's such a generation gap in Flatland, and some people may or may not know that maybe you invented or not invented or kind of perfected a trick, and maybe it had been forgotten about, but now people do the trick and put their own spin on it. How do you feel about tricks like that, such as your backpacker to hitchhiker, I believe, in Velvet Taxi, like the kickflip style, and I forget the two Flatlanders I was just told last night, and I forget the two dudes who do it now, and they put their own spin on it, but it was just more of an ode to how you may have originated a trick, but people do it now and do it differently. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, that's cool with me. I have no problem with, if they want to do the trick or change it up a little bit. I mean, it's going to happen. Everybody's,
because that's
copies
saying,
each other a little bit here
it's
and there. So,
saying somebody stole a tail whip, or
I've seen Justin Miller will do a, kind of similar trick to what you're talking about. Yeah. But I mean, I did it cross-footed to a backpacker, where they're doing it regular hitchhiker to the backpacker. So it's still different.
Yeah.
But it's still similar too, They throw a kick flip in there where they flip the wheel though, so that's different.
I heard too that after I'm having brain dead. Who did Pulse back in the day? Pulse Products. Bill Nitschke.
Oh, that's right.
Wow, Bill.
So Bill Nitschke invented the bunny hop whip.
Yeah.
And I heard rumor that you were probably the second dude to do a bunny hop whip after Bill.
Yeah. Well, I used to go to those, the Rampage contests, and I seen Bill do it,
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to learn this, so I picked it up right away. And
that's crazy because I never even I don't think I've ever even seen you do a bunny hop whip.
No, he did him last tour. He does them every once in a while.
Yeah, but we're talking about in that time period when he was able to unleash it, and then you have dudes like, not going to say names, but the person who got credit for being the person to do it in a contest, and that's kind of shitty. Because there are dudes like Bill Nitschke and yourself who would just do stuff in a parking lot and not even worry about it or even care to film it. And then you got dudes it's just like today where kids need to film everything and show it, but then there's those dudes who just rode that because they love it and they could care less if there was a camera. And I feel like you're that type of dude as well, who just would just do the most incredible. When you put your bike together the other day, I saw you do the most incredible Flatland in the crappiest parking lot. And my mind was blown. I was just like, what the hell?
Hey, just riding a bike, having fun. That's what all it's.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people
I don't
lose that.
take it all serious like that anymore. Where I'm 43, still riding. I'm just happy to be still rolling around.
Really?
Yeah.
Killing it.
Crazy,
and he's killing it. Please don't let him discredit himself.
No,
thanks.
not
It
at
is
all.
the parking lots he's put on. He rides the flat bottom of a portable vert ramp right now, and literally you walk across it, and it is a trampoline.
You can't bring the belt sander with you?
No belt sander, unfortunately.
So what's the story with the belt sander?
Well, I bought a house down in Arkansas, and there's a big cul-de-sac out front, but it's really rugged surface. It's there's no way I can ride on this. So I went out and bought a sander, a grinder.
Yeah, concrete grinder.
Yeah, and just ground it all down, well, half of it, so I could ride on
The
it.
city was okay.
I live way out in the country. They could care less out
it wouldn't
there.
have been
It's
cheaper to just build
Arkansas. It's like nobody around. It's like I had one neighbor at the time. He's like an old guy. He could care less. So
How many?
How many-
I just did
how many
my
square-
thing. Nobody cared.
How many square
It's
feet
fine.
did you grind down to make it smooth?
Oh, I'm bad with square feet, so I don't know. But it was enough space to where I could do 5, 6, 7 whiplashes. Fine. So yeah.
How long did that take to grind down?
I worked on it off and on. I'd fly out, go do shows, come back home, work on it a little bit. I would say at least a couple months to,
Oh
finally
my
get
gosh,
it
that
right.
sounds crazy.
You couldn't have just
But,
bought a tennis
it's-
court? Like, you couldn't have just said, I want to put a tennis court
What I
in the
should have did
backyard?
was lay down cement in the backyard and, go that route. But I just was like, well, there's this big cul-de-sac right out front. Let's just use this. And it worked,
So, it's crazy. Yeah, I was just
convenient.
I was
It's
just
right there.
when my buddy Anthony told me about the bunny hop whip. I was like, dang. And I'm like I'm memorized videos. I'm like, I've never seen him do bunny hop whip, and then just knowing that you did
Okay.
it that fast after Bill,
Okay.
is, pretty crazy because, that trick back then, that just seemed insane at the time, be able to do one. So
Yeah,
But yeah.
fun trick for sure.
that's crazy. That's good that
And
you
it's
can
like
still
now
do it.
everybody does them
No,
like nothing, It's just nuts.
I'll see kids learn them before they learn
Yeah.
like
A tabletop.
I know,
a peg stall on a quarter, or
Yeah.
like they'll do it before they can peg manual down the road.
Yeah.
So
out of
it's
hand
the
now.
learning curve's just insane now. So when was the first X Games? 97?
Yeah, 97. Yep.
And-
that was when
and-
they had Flatland in
Yeah.
there.
So they had Flatland. What was it? The first 4 or 5 years?
Well, the
to-
second through, because the first
Yeah,
year
it
was just dirt and vert, no flat.
Yeah, the Rhode Island shows out there in Providence.
Yeah.
Rhode
But the
Island,
second one they
didn't
had
have no
flat.
flat. But yeah,
By the
yeah,
second
it was
one-
San Diego is when they had the Flatland in there.
Was the first one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, all right.
97.
97.
Yeah.
So, and
Because they did in Providence for 3 years.
Yeah, I was at those shows. We
The
were out
first
there
one was
touring around with
96.
Chi
97, and then 98, and then 99 I went to San Diego, right?
Or San Francisco,
I guess we could
99.
Google it.
it's not-
99 San Francisco.
But yeah, so you won the first three.
That's
Who's
right.
riding? Who's riding in the contest then?
97. Oh, we had guys like Scott Powell, Keith King, Andrew Ferris, Chad DeGroot, Nate Hansen,
Oh yeah,
Jason Brown,
Jason Brown, Vancouver.
Chris Young. Yeah, lots of guys.
Yeah, and so you won the first 3 years,
Yeah, 97, 98, 99.
and then 2000 you got 4th place.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what happened there? Did you was
Well,
it?
they switched out to Philadelphia. Threw off my rhythm.
Too many cheesesteaks.
I actually took 3 4th place finishes out in Philly.
Okay.
There's 3 years out there.
And
I got
two
4th place.
were 2 of
All
those
3 of them.
where you were riding fixed, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I went with fixed gear. Tried that out. Something new, different. Why not?
Did like Pat Romano or one of those dudes inspire you to go fixed, or was it just kind of just wanting to mix it up, or
It was mostly just wanted to mix it up. I went like brakeless and with the fixed gear.
Yeah.
And, just always exploring, wanting to try something different. You get bored riding the same bike setup.
Yeah.
Year in, year out. Thought that would be something different and see where I had no idea where it'd lead to or what to expect out of it. But I did have I had fun with it and learned a lot of crazy tricks.
what
I'm glad I did it.
What doors did that open for you riding fixed? Like where did it help you like explore trick wise?
Just like pedaling like death trucks, forward and backwards turbining them. You couldn't do that with a normal bike.
Yeah.
Same with like the straddle, where you just pedal it forward, backwards,
Yeah.
backyards pedaling. It's just crazy
Yeah.
stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely hard on the knees though. Because you're always pedaling. Just constantly. So you can only do that for so long. So yeah, I did that for like 2 years and quit.
What type of hub were you riding at the time? Did you just like mod up a hub to be fixed, or did you buy like a road hub, or did you just JB weld something?
No, I just built it up. Just bought the track hub and built it up. I forget the gear ratio of what I was running at the time, but
Was it-
Yeah, it was just a stock hub.
Yeah.
36 spoke.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, lace it up to a 36 spoke rim and just, yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm not like the ultimate like Flatland guy. You know, I'm sure there's gonna be Flatlanders that listen to this be like, Shad, just ruin this. But after those X Games, like how long after the X Games did you keep really competing, or kind of when did you step away from like the kind of the serious contest scene?
Pretty much when the last year that they had the X Games. I got a bronze. I was stoked on that.
Yeah.
That was in LA. And, after that, I was like, okay, there's no more X Games. And, but yet I was still real busy with doing the shows.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's just keep doing the shows, having fun with it. I'm still progressing, learning tricks.
Yeah.
The money, wasn't really, everything was kind of going downhill with sponsorships and this and that. There wasn't there like it used to be with the GT days.
Yeah.
But I love to ride, love to progress, so I stuck with it. And, kept at it. I don't care if there's money involved with the sport or not. I'm doing what I love to do. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you kind of stopped doing contests, did it take a kind of load off your shoulders and you could ride a different way, like where you weren't focused about contest runs, or did you just keep riding the same way?
Well, yeah, it changes things up for sure. I mean, after winning the 3 golds, and then I won the 7 Hoffman belts for being the #1 Flatland rider for 7 years straight.
Yeah,
I was pretty happy with what I accomplished in the contest from that. So I was like, well, if I never enter a contest again, hey, at least I set out a goal and I accomplished what I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I'm not going to contests anymore, but I'm happy with that. I'm still riding. Great exercise, progressing, having fun. Get to meet up with guys like you. Travel all over the country. It's a good time.
What was your first pro contest you won? Was it Lake Owen?
That's right, Lake Owen. BS? Yes.
Yeah.
Lake Owen camp. Yep, that was.
Were you
actually? I was on a Wilkerson airline at that.
Oh wow.
That contest. Yeah.
How'd that feel, like just going in that contest and coming up from a young kid and then all of a sudden winning your first pro contest, like?
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing. That was my very first pro contest. I remember like.
Dennis, it was your first pro contest you entered too?
Like my.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like Dennis McCoy there and Bill Nitschke and I forget who else was all there, but it was. I was stoked, of course. Anytime you win a contest, it's like, I'll take it. It's awesome, but that was, and then after that, I went out to the Moreno Valley contest.
Yeah.
So
so with all your years touring and stuff, like, GT, and then you toured like ASA, and I'm sure there's other companies you've toured with. Who are like some of your favorite dudes you've toured with that just good characters that you've traveled around with that you enjoyed? Yeah,
well, of course I toured with Rob Nolly forever, so he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Robert Castillo, so many. I mean, like right now I'm doing the Cedar Point amusement park, and
Tom Hagen, fellow Minnesotan.
That's right, Tom Hagen. Yep. Tom was actually with us at Cedar Point. For a few years.
Yeah.
We didn't do it this last summer, but I'm with like guys like Mike Castillo and I'm with gymnasts and all kinds of craziness. Rollerbladers, Jaron Robb. So it's, I always enjoy whoever I'm with. Pretty much, we always make it happen, have fun. So
did you tour with Volker or anybody?
Oh yeah, Volker for years.
You got any good Volker stories? I mean, everybody loves a good Volker story.
Volker, he's always amazing to watch. He could be up partying all night and ride better than I could ride, after getting a good night's of sleep. So that always amazed me,
Yeah,
I can't believe it, but
he's definitely a beast. He actually,
he is.
He left a comment on the Snakebite Instagram, a question for you. I'm gonna find it real quick.
Okay.
And let's see what Dave had to say. Oh, it wasn't a question, but he said one of the rainy days on tour he saw you looking out the window down an empty parking lot, and he said to you, "Are you picturing yourself riding down there?" And you were just like, "Yep, I'm just waiting for the rain to stop."
Okay, yeah, we had a lot of rainy days. Well, I did a lot of those NBA games with Dave.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was in the winter, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't
especially
really
on the East
go
Coast
out,
where it's so
I
nasty.
can't go out and ride in the snow and whatnot. So a lot of just sitting around hotels bored, you know, waiting to do the show that night. So, yeah, a lot of time killed. The parking, you know, wanting to ride in parking lots, but the weather was nasty, so. But that's how it is, wintertime.
Yeah. Well, you grew up in Minnesota. So
yeah, exactly.
Where would you ride when you were younger, when it was all snowy? Did you have, like, a parking garage or anything?
I rode parking garages, rode right inside the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit in the living room. You know, when it's 20 below out and you want to ride, you'll do anything pretty much. So, yeah, that's where I kind of started working on the back wheel scuffing. When, you know, you run into a wall, so you start scuffing backwards. Like, hey, something different.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, just like on your back wheel and stuff?
Just messing around.
Yeah.
But, you know, you end up doing, like, dump trucks backwards in a circle, you know. That's pretty original. So you just start, you know. You get kind of creative when you're in a small space, and you know,
in the winter
you're riding on carpet, and
yeah,
you're getting real creative. But you know, just having fun with it.
Did you? Now I can't remember if I'm right or this, but did you ride for Mongoose for a short period?
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah. That was out in Philadelphia at those X Games.
Okay,
I rode Mongoose. Yeah.
Did you ride like a special Mongoose or anything, or just what?
It was like a street frame, a Ruben Alcantara street frame. I forget his exact model name, but yeah, that's what I rode.
Oh wow! And that's what
that was a longer frame. That was probably like a 21.
Okay. And then you went to Giant after that.
Rode for Giant, for a few years.
Was that just mainly shows though?
Oh yeah, just shows.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of short-lived. You know, I was on that for like a year or two, and then the whole deal dropped with Giant, and
you were riding a Sick Child then?
Then I just went to Sick Child.
Okay, but when you were on Giant, you were riding a Sick Child with Giant stickers.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no one had an actual Giant.
Okay, I was gonna say, were they weird about that or anything?
Their bikes sucked. You know, no one could ride a Giant. Just put the stickers on and call it a Giant.
So when you were coming up, like going to all those contests and everything, who were like some of the? I mean, you know, who were some of the dudes you looked up to that you kind of were like that like inspired you as a young rider to, you know, like who were some of the guys that you were like super psyched on growing up?
Oh well, first of all, Dave Nuri. I mean, after seeing that Haro show.
Oh yeah,
you know, I was like, this, you know, that's what pretty much got me into Flatland, watching him ride at the show, and Wilkerson, and you know, those guys riding at the show just totally got me into it. But yeah, you know, Kevin Jones, just so many good riders, Rick Moliterno, Dennis McCoy, you know, you know, those just legends, just. You know, Martin Aparijo, R.L. Osborne, you know, that's going way back. But I mean, hey, that's when I started. Those are the guys that I looked at in the magazines and videos. And
I feel like did Perry Mervar come up about the same time you did?
Yeah, I think so.
Were you guys kind of close to the same area? Is he from the Midwest?
He's from Indiana.
Okay.
So
I was just wondering if you guys kind of competed, like if you guys were close to the same age.
Well, at the Rampage contest we did.
Yeah.
So when we'd meet up in Davenport.
So I feel like you guys kind of came onto the Flatland scene close to the same time. And, you know, like at the time I feel like you both kind of came out with a little bit different styles. Like you kind of new school compared to like, you know, the dudes that been pro like the late 80s to early 90s, and you were like the early 90s dudes coming in. And you know, both were, I feel like you both were riding street bikes. Like, you know, he's riding a Bully or a S&M, and you're riding a Wilkerson or a Standard, so.
Yeah, I pretty much just got to ride with him at the Rampage contest and all the other guys, so.
Yeah. So, like with the shows.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, like Kurt Schmidt, he's from Minnesota.
Yep.
Got to ride with him.
His buddy, do you know Jamie McFarland?
Yeah.
Jamie lives out here.
Oh, he does.
He's lived here for 18 years or something.
Oh wow.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's from Minnesota too.
Yeah.
So
nice. Okay. All right. Nice. Yeah. And Tom Hagen, you know, he's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So.
The Midwest has always had good riders coming out. So, like, you've been doing shows for so long. How many days a year are you actually traveling and stuff?
Oh boy, I do. Let's say I do about 4 months of this and 4 months of Cedar Point.
Yeah.
So there's a good 8 months, and then maybe I'll get some random calls to do shows here and there.
So you're on the road more than you're home.
Yeah, I am.
And
I go home for the winter pretty much, and then in the spring I start up and go through spring, summer, fall.
And you've been doing that since the early 90s.
Well, actually the past about 5 years now is where it's been like real steady.
Really?
I mean, I used to do shows, but a lot of shows, but it wasn't like this where I'm just gone for months on end. I mean, with Woody, with GT or Giant, I would go do a fair for a couple of weeks and then go home and kind of in and out. But this is like you leave for 4 months straight,
and you're just gone.
Yeah.
What are some of the things like that you feel like are essentials? Like if you're out traveling on the road for that long, like what are some things that you're like, yo, you got to have this in your bag or you're just screwed?
Well, you got to have a dialed bike that you like, just shoes, clothes, just bring, the essentials that you need. I get to take the van and, if I need something, I can go up to a bike shop and get it, whatnot. Or, if I need to order something from Flatland Fuel or from Goods, I will. So you get by. You make the best of the situation.
Yeah.
So
I mean, with all those years traveling, like, what's some of the, like, what's like kind of a good sketchy, crazy story? Because I mean, with all those years on the road, something wild's had to have happened to you.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I've been, I've had a great career. I mean, like no major injuries. I mean, I have broke my thumb and a finger. Cracked some ribs. I mean, but nothing like anything super major. But yeah,
I was kind of thinking more along the lines like you just out in the city and some crazy shit be happening. Like,
I try to stay out of all that chaos. I like when I was younger. Sure, we'd go out and we'd go to the bars and we'd go hang out all night. Now that I'm getting older, I try to get back to the hotel room at a decent hour and get some sleep.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not a big party animal, anything like that. All kinds of things have happened on the road, sure. I mean, I'm kind of brain dead right now. I've been driving all day, but... let's see. Like the time... Didn't really want to bring this up, but since you want a story...
let's hear it.
Time I was in Denver... this was years ago, probably like 15 years ago. Just hanging out. I got there for the Denver Nuggets game, halftime show.
Yep.
I got in early. The show wasn't until like 7 p.m. that night, so I figured I'd kill some time, go ride at a parking lot. I cut through a parking lot. A cop says, "Hey, I can't have you riding here. Go, beat it. Go ride in a different spot." So I go further out of the city, go ride. And another cop comes by. Didn't want me riding there. So anyway, I finally found a spot. Rode for several hours. Okay, it's getting later. I got to get back to the hotel. I riding back to the hotel, and the cop sees me again and was like, "Hey, I get it." He like freaks out at me. Ends up. Long story short, he ends up throwing me in jail. I missed the whole halftime show. The guys don't know where I'm at. I'm like. Stuck in jail. I can't call anything. It's like they're like, "Oh, he's just gone." But anyway, Rob Nolly bailed me out that night, and after the show, hey, things happen on the road.
They had to have been who was doing the show with you? Like Rob and
Voker, Rob. I think is Robert Castillo. So, but that's a story that that happened. Can't say it was an enjoyable story, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a good experience for me.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just tripping out over the whole thing.
Yeah, they didn't know where I was at when, that wasn't like me, just to not show up.
Yeah,
no,
it doesn't seem like it all.
But anyway, life goes on.
With you riding and you've been pro for 25 years or something, pretty
something
close.
Crazy.
And you've seen bikes change so much. What are some of the things that, what are some changes to bikes that you've thought were awesome, like new inventions or things that you feel like have changed the way bikes work?
Well, now that they're lighter, that's definitely a big advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, just like for the tail with bunny hops, these kids can throw it around easy now.
What bike did you learn bunny hop whips on?
It was either the Standard or the Wilkerson. I can't quite remember. Those bikes were heavy back in the day.
Sounds horrible both ways.
Yeah. 45-pound bike back in the day. So now that they're 20 pounds or whatever they are.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. The chain. I mean, just the little things like putting chain tensioners on a bike help a ton. You know? Yeah. I mean, I'm stoked with that. It's just, I mean, I've seen, going from, the seat or the seat post where there's the clamps built on to the frame nowadays. Just little things like that. The mid-bottom brackets. I mean, I was old school. I had to pound in cups on the bottom bracket, and same with the stems. Having the stem bolt, and those would break off when you tighten them down.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always working on the bike. You know how it is.
Definitely.
Breaking axles on the Sun Tour.
Would you break a lot of bikes riding flat? I know some dudes riding flat are pretty hard on bikes. Have you been hard on bikes riding flat on them, or?
I've gone through a lot of frames, cracked frames. The
cracked
welds.
and bend and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Been through quite a few frames. I mean, nowadays I don't break them, but back in the day, yeah.
Like in the mid-'90s and stuff, you were messing them up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I broke all my GTs and dynos.
how long did that show last you?
Not too long, because those are aluminum, So, yeah. And they would try to, fix them and just re-weld over the aluminum, but that didn't work. They would break, a week later.
Dang.
So, yeah.
I remember one of your things from inside on pros bikes, when you cut the threaded part of the GT thread-on pegs and put it on the inside for your cone nuts, on your front axles. You had the fat part, on the thread-on knurled pegs that GT had. You had cut the threaded part and threaded it on for cone nuts, so you didn't bend your dropouts. I don't know if you probably don't even remember you doing that.
Yeah, that was years ago. But yeah, you do anything you can to keep the bike running right.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I hear you.
So I talked to a few dudes just trying to, figure out stuff to talk about. And everybody keeps bringing up how you spend your per diem money. They're they say you'll just make money last forever on a trip. You'll just go.
I don't know about that. Maybe back in the day I did, but the older I get, I'm not so frugal like that anymore.
They say you just eat animal crackers the whole trip.
I think that's Tom Hagen they're talking about.
Tom Hagen doesn't eat animals. What are you talking about?
He likes those animal crackers, though. I've been saving up for, I bought a house all through, bought and paid it all through BMX, every dime came from a show or a contest, so that's why I was trying to, save my money and do things right to where I could buy my own home and have it paid for, and it worked. I mean, it took forever, but it did. But, I just like to be able to, buy other things. If I want to buy a new iPad, hey, I got iPad money, or whatever, whatever the case may be. So a bike part or this or that. So I'd rather just try and go cheap on the food. Maybe if I got to eat at Taco Bell, hey, I'll go with that for a night. But I don't do that anymore.
A few of them were like, oh. You just get animal crackers, eat animal crackers the whole time. Or if we'd be touring a bunch, he'd save the keys for each hotel and then we went somewhere, he'd use the key to go to another hotel to get the continental breakfast.
Oh, boy. Well, hey, that's life on the road.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think we've all done that. Or when you spend as much time as I have, if you don't have a breakfast.
See, that's some of the tricks of being on the road there.
But it's been years since I've done that, so I'm kind of long over that stuff. But yeah.
No, but that stuff, it makes it fun when you're on the road. You always get your little tricks of the trade, and
oh yeah, it's just like Rob Nolly had the dollar trick where you would feed put tape on the dollar and feed it in the machine, and then quick pull it back out, and then you get your free Coke or your candy for free because your dollar would.
We had one
dollar back.
when we do trips. If we wanted to wash clothes, we always had, like the little rubber gloves that you get.
Okay.
You put a quarter in each finger, and you stick it in the washing machine thing, and you pull tight on the glove, and you push it in and pull it out, and it holds your quarters, and you can wash clothes for free. Some of them have changed, but we used to do that all the time back in the day. If we were on a road trip, we'd just have the little gloves so you could wash your clothes, and you wouldn't lose your quarters. And
nice.
So
you're giving me ideas.
Yeah,
there,
everybody's got their hustle tricks. So, where do you see? Do you ever plan on entering any more contests or anything, or what do you see kind of for? I mean, we've talked before, and it seems like you're just loving riding just for riding, which is what everybody does. But do you ever get like the urge to like go? Hey, maybe I'll go enter this contest and just
probably the only way I would go is if there's something that's nearby. If I'm in the area and I'm feeling like going, I'll go. But I'm not going to, fly to Japan to go to a contest or something crazy like that,
Flatland contests seem just crazy now.
They're out of hand for sure. So many good riders. So that's great. The progression, is really
who are some
insane.
Who are some of the new guys that you really like watching?
Yuchi, Matthias, so many Japanese riders. It's just out of control. I don't even keep up with it anymore. I'm doing my show thing. Where I'm just busy doing shows and riding, progressing. So Vicky is awesome. There's just so many good riders out there.
Is it kind of just crazy seeing how far Flatland has gone since you started riding? Just how far it's progressed and everything.
Yeah, it's come a long ways. The style is just totally, from bouncing tricks to rolling tricks, scuffing, it just keeps progressing. I
feel like about every 5 to 8 years, it's like a whole new flip again.
I know.
It's kind of crazy now if you look at Flatland, how so many dudes are almost riding setups like you ride. The bigger bikes.
Bigger handlebars.
Bigger handlebars, bigger bikes, to where they're just normal, almost just normal bikes instead of being little spaceships like they were in the late.
Yeah, a lot of street bikes.
Yeah.
Actually, or for riding Flatland,
Yeah, so. But you don't just get a super bug to just go to one of the contests in Japan or anything.
No. Like I said, I stay so busy, doing all these shows that I enjoy it, and it's my thing now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that.
And it still keeps you happy in the
totally.
riding and stuff.
Yeah. I get to progress in between. Like at Cedar Point, we do a show at 3:00. The next show's at 5. So in between shows, I've got a lot of practice time, and then the next show's at 7. So, I've got tons of time to just ride and learn stuff in between.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
So I got some questions from some of the people that look at the website. I'm gonna run some by you, just kind of rapid fire.
Yeah, no problem.
So Stephen Hamilton, he wants to know, what's your all-time favorite GT bike that you rode?
The Dino Slammer.
The Dino Slammer?
Yeah.
What year Slammer? Because not the Bashguard one, was it?
No. I would say the 98 model that I was running. That was a maroon one. It was
had a weird standing platform on it, right?
Yeah.
And then it had a weird bend to it. It had
it had a GT style bend in it, I think. But it was a maroon bike. That was one of my favorite bikes. And the white one, the Dino Slammer. I had a white Slammer for quite a while that I liked a lot.
I'm a big Dino Slammer fan, so I'm right there with you.
Nice.
That's true.
A guy named Real Tony Phantom wants to know your favorite bay on Lake Minnetonka for Ice Flatland.
I remember that. My first picture in Freestyling magazine.
Was that you doing like a cherry picker or something?
Yeah, cherry picker on the ice. Yeah, ice pick they called it.
I always remember the picture of you riding the pool, and I think it was Go, and it called you a pool shark.
Oh yeah,
it was like a reader's photo of you like carving a pool, and it's like Trevor Meyer pool shark, and it was like you carving some square pool.
Yeah, that was down in Tucson, Arizona. Yeah, or Phoenix. But yeah.
And the second question from that dude is if you miss Maple Plain BMX track. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I know Maple Plain. It's been years, but I rolled around, had some fun.
Did you ever race? Did you race a little back in the day?
I did race a little bit. Yes. Only for like a year.
Yeah.
But there was a indoor track, Shakopee indoor track, Minnesota. Would go there like on weekends and race. But
did you move?
Nothing serious.
What class did you end up in?
Pretty much just beginner. I stayed in beginner. Didn't make it out of that, but yeah. Went after they started. I seen like the logo for the Haro show. That's when I went to the show and pretty much dropped the whole racing thing and said freestyles for me. So yeah.
So Owen Clegg over in England wants to know: can you still do any of the reverse scuffing moves?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, the stick bee backwards.
Stick bee.
Still do that in circles. I haven't really tried like the funky chicken in backwards circles in forever, but I know I can do the backwards stick bee for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking through this. Some of these we've already covered.
Yeah, I used to do the backwards lard yard also.
Oh, that seems.
I could probably do that. Oh, I'm sure I could do that if I played around with it some.
This is referring to Wilkerson Airlines Life on the Edge.
Okay.
But they're asking how you feel about chickens.
I like cows better.
You got to know if you don't know the video, then you're not going to get it. Todd Carter wants to know what is your practice schedule like, and what pressure do you run in your tires?
I ride 120 pressure, but that varies. When you're just like the other day, I pumped up the tires and they were like at 100. I'm like, whoa, just from the road trip, driving all over the country, we'll do that. And what was the other question?
What's your practice schedule like? Like, how much do you still try to ride a day?
It depends. Like today, we didn't ride at all. We went to the beach, hung out. We're doing the tourist thing. So, on a normal day, though, I'll ride at least a couple hours anyway of practice in between doing shows.
Didn't you say back in the day you used to try to ride 8 hours a day?
It was yeah. I mean, every day varies, but I was riding a lot.
I physically can't. I guess when I was younger, I probably rode 8 hours a day, but it just seems like it would just.
Yeah, especially doing flat though, like working on a link or working on a trick for like so long, just like putting your body through like.
It's pretty much like. It's the quality of riding more than just the hours you put in. I mean, you could spend 8 hours doing wheelies all day. Like.
Yeah, I mean that's so great.
How what you're trying and taking serious, what you really want to progress.
I always tell people as the older I get, sometimes I just want my bike riding to feel more like it did when I was 14. So sometimes you just simplify your bike riding. Like sometimes I just enjoy going down to 7-Eleven and jumping off curbs. And I'm like, that was great. I got all I wanted out of BMX today.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, I feel like I still want to get on it and do something. So, but just as long as your bike's making you happy,
That's right. I hear you on that.
So
it's all about having fun, doing what you love to do.
So here's another one from Stephen Hamilton. So Stephen always comes through with the good questions. He says, what are some of the biggest mountains you've climbed physically to continue riding at your age? And what have been some of the hardest times mentally?
Okay, well, I'm just, at 43, I'm just stoked to still be riding, so that's a big accomplishment right there.
Do you do anything? Do you stretch or do you any exercises?
I stretch out. I'm not like hitting the gym or anything crazy like that, lifting weights. Nah, I figure it's enough of a workout just riding the bike,
Yeah.
But I used to be all into the gym where I'd just go work out for hours on end, and that was a bit overkill.
Yeah.
And then go ride the bike for another more hours. It's like just too much, so I had to give one up. And I'd rather be riding the bike than working out, doing the weight thing. So
And then he wanted to know, what have some of the hardest times mentally been riding for you?
Mentally, oh, I don't know. I mean, mentally. I mean, the contests are kind of a mental thing, you know?
Yeah.
You got to be really focused with what you want to try and pull, and those, you know, I'd say the contests are a mental issue for sure. And, I mean, yeah, I mean, just trying to be original, coming up with a new trick, that's mentally, you know, it's difficult because, you know, so many tricks have been invented already. It's like really super hard to like come up with something new, and especially nowadays with so many new riders in there. So yeah, that would be, you know, that's something.
Yeah. Do you feel like those years when you were like dominating the contest, were you like just having to be mentally on it, just like you know, like it was just a different level of focus to be there?
Yeah, I just stayed focused. I mean, you got to have fun with it too, though.
Yeah.
You know, if you take it too serious, you know, that's not good. So you just got to have fun with it, but yet be focused and, you know, be mentally prepared for it. So it's kind of a mix of a bunch of things.
And then, another guy wanted to know, when you guys were doing those shows, how often would Woody still ride with you guys?
When we were on GT?
Yeah.
Now and then he'd break out his bike and he'd pull a double decade, or you know, he still has it. You know,
I saw him ride a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, he had like
nice.
One of his Diamondbacks. He had an internal headset put on it and stuff, and he was riding one of his old Diamondbacks, and I think it was with one of the old school champs at Woodward, and he was still pretty darn good, you know.
Yeah, that always amazes me how he can just jump on his bike and still pull like pedal pickers and just you know.
Do you got any funny Woody stories?
Funny Woody stories? Oh, I don't know. Like I said, I've been driving all day. I'm brain dead.
You should have had Micah driving. Was he making you drive everywhere?
Well, just going to the beach and all just takes a lot out of you. But I don't know about funny. I mean, you know, 'cause mostly I toured, you know, with Robert Castillo because Woody was kind of in the office guy, you know, lining up the shows. So I didn't really, you know, tour around much with Woody. But although Micah and I had a chance to meet up with Woody last fall, stopped by his house in Dallas. You know, he's living there now, and checked out his bike collection.
Yeah, he's got some crazy vintage bikes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he still has the gold Trick Star.
I think he's got one of Martin's old GJSs or something. I don't know. He's got some crazy bike that was Martin's, some crazy prototype, and
I
think he's still got his Diamondbacks and stuff.
He's got his into that collecting the bikes.
Yeah. Do you have any of your old bikes or?
Well, my first one will be the EF. Eddie Fiola frame.
That's the only bike.
That's the only one I'm really. Well, I do have a sick child, but I didn't really hang on to anything.
Any of the GTs or standards or anything?
No, I got rid of them all. I gave them away to neighborhood kids and this and that.
Oh man,
I know. But I moved down to Arkansas, you know, and in 2005 bought a house and pretty much like sold everything, you know, and moved there. And so,
can I ask, what made you want to move to Arkansas?
Pretty much warmer winters. You know, it's a big issue when you live in Minnesota and you can't ride. So went down to the Little Rock area, bought a house, brand new house with the cul-de-sac, and just
Brand new house, old cul-de-sac.
Been living there 10 years.
But now you're thinking about moving back to Minnesota?
Yeah. It sounds like the house is going to sell here soon, so I'll be. Yeah.
What's making you want to go back to Minnesota?
Oh, that's just where I grew up, what I know, you know, friends there. So just go back with that. I got friends and family up there still, so why not? I'm ready for a change.
You ready for the winter?
No, never ready for the winter, but hey, I'm hoping I can find a big garage or a big basement, something where I can ride right in the house. So
just keep the heater on.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Things will work out. So, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, do you got any other topics you want to maybe touch on before we call her quits?
I mean,
can you think of anything else, Chris?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think you guys covered everything pretty well.
Yeah.
yeah, just loving this living frame, living metal frame. Yeah, I'm stoked with it.
Shout outs? Anybody want to?
Yeah, anybody
well, Odyssey BMX, they've been hooking me up since like '99. So yeah, they've been a huge sponsor for all these years. So they're definitely. I'm stoked with Odyssey and yeah, ID clothing, Flatland fuel, yeah, flatware, yeah, living metal. I think that covers everybody.
All right, cool. One other thing, you're going to be working on any edits or anything soon, do you think? Or
I hope to put something together. I mean, I've only been on this bike for like 3 days, so but I do hope to put something together here soon.
Yeah. Get
some video clips up. So
I think everybody would be psyched on that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Have fun with it. Why not?
All right, well, cool. Thanks for coming and talking to us, and I'm just psyched to be able to hang out with you and meet you finally, so...
All right. Thanks, Shad.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
It.
All right.